What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Fly the plane. What are you doing? What are you
Oh my God.
not feel safe?
I don't feel safe too.
Airline passenger mayhem is up, way up, and now you may just start seeing flight crews taking disorderly customers down. Flight attendants are being trained in close-quarter defensive skills to help combat a number of unruly passenger incidents in the age of COVID. Whatever happened to the friendly skies? And later, a Shark Tank star best known for asking tough questions to would-be entrepreneurs faced a grilling of his own in court. Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary, on the stand and defending his wife in a fatal boat crash. We're breaking it all down tonight. Welcome to Banfield. I'm Adrienne Bankert, in tonight for Ashley. Get this, in the first half of 2021 alone, the Federal Aviation Administration reports more than 3,000 unruly passenger incidents. More and more of us are flying again in the post-pandemic world, and increasingly we're seeing more and more of those incidents on our flights. Most of these disturbances stem from passengers failing to comply with mandatory mask rules, but many do elevate to the point of physical altercations. And now flight crews just may start using those close-quarter combat measures to take down unruly passengers. So why are frequent flyers frequently flying their fists? Let's talk about that right now with Peter Greenberg, travel editor for CBS News, Andrew Feldman, spokesperson for the Association of Flight Attendants, and self-defense expert Jennifer Cassetta. Thank you all for being with us. Jennifer, I'm really excited to talk to you because I've taken so much self-defense classes of my own. But Peter, you've been traveling for a long, long time. These classes were instrumental 20 years ago following 9/11, and now we've been seeing all this disruptive behavior happen for a while now. In all of your years of travel, would you say we're in a dangerous and the most frustrating time as ever for travel?
Well, we are, because those incidents that you mentioned are the highest and most concentrated number that we've ever seen. Over 3,000, as you reported. Over 1,900 of those 3,000 were because people refused to wear masks. But here's the interesting development. In a major part of those cases, what was the contributing factor? Alcohol. So you have passengers drunk, already on the plane and at altitude. Gee, what could go wrong? Well, everything can go wrong. And what you're seeing now, the TSA training flight attendants and self-defense techniques, this is not what we really had in mind in the post-9/11 world, other than worrying about terrorism. This is a different kind of terrorism, because once you're in a contained aluminum cylinder at altitude, pressurized with alcohol, anything can happen.
You know, you make a very good point there, Peter, and I want to talk to you, Andrew, about this. I mean, what really is the difference between a terrorist incident and an unruly passenger when it could pose a risk not only to the passengers nearby, but to the entire flight? What are flight attendants feeling? Was the goal to bring back these classes because COVID was under more control, or were flight attendants actually complaining, saying, listen, we need more protection?
Look, Adrienne, I think that these courses were always going to come back, right? They've been around since 2001. Actually, were put into place and passed in November of 2001. And we've supported them at the Association of Flight Attendants for a long time. And we actually think they should be mandatory. Right now, they're voluntary, but we do think they should be mandatory. And look, they're coming back right at the right time, because we are seeing unprecedented levels of, unruly passengers in the air. And, the reality is your flight attendants in that cabin are your first line of defense, are your first responders. So we need to make sure that these flight attendants feel safe in knowing how to control the situation. But that's what we're trained in. We're not just trained on how to give, a drink, a soft drink out, or some peanuts and pretzels. We are trained in how to keep the cockpit safe, how to keep that whole cylinder we were talking about a minute ago safe, and people getting to their destination in one place or another safely. The challenge here right now is that everyone coming off this pandemic is really at a 10, and that's what we're seeing in the air.
Yeah, but not everybody loses it on a flight. Not everybody gets violent, and this would require some professional assistance, some intervention. Jennifer, you are the expert in this self-defense. Is it realistic to expect that a 120-pound flight attendant or even a 200-pound flight attendant could take down somebody who is possibly inebriated, possibly having an episode that goes beyond normal mental health? I mean, especially in closed quarters like this.
Absolutely, Adrienne. I mean, first of all, there's so many things that lead up to a physical attack. Practicing situational awareness, being able to set boundaries, communicate them powerfully, de-escalate if possible, and then the physical self-defense comes in. And yes, it is my job to remind women, men, any gender, any race, any religion, anybody, that you are strong, you are powerful, and your body can be used as a weapon if needed.
Yeah, and you bring up another point that I love because I'm passionate about this story, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation. This could be something that we could unify with. You know, all of us getting onto planes again, want to be safe, want to go to the same destination, want to take off safely, and this kind of behavior that's disruptive on planes has to be taken so seriously. Andrew, there is a possibility you could be inviting even more punishment than you're already taking by getting physical, by having flight attendants who, again, are getting in the fray. Is this a lot to require of them?
Look, this is what they're prepared for every single day. These are people that I work with that are some of the most passionate people about these jobs, and they love what they do, and they're prepared for this. They're prepared for this. But no, look, people need to be safe on these planes. They need to remember that we're all trying to get to the next place safely and to be kind to one each other. We don't know what other people are dealing with, you know, when they get on these planes, what incidents they're dealing with, what do they have going on in their personal life, what do they have going on in their work. But we need to remember that we are in 30,000 feet up in the air in a tube. But let me tell you that these flight attendants, our folks that are in the skies, will make sure that our folks get on the ground safely. Everyone on that plane gets on the ground safely. And I've seen, these folks in work and the work that we do, and it's really impressive. But, we have to remember that this is not just tension we're seeing in the skies. We're getting a lot of attention right now because we're in a metal tube, but this is happening to frontline workers everywhere, in supermarkets, in all sorts of incidents, restaurants. It's because people are so tense on what this pandemic has done to them.
Peter, you're in Greece right now. I know you travel all over the world. In terms of this initiative and what Andrew is saying, that we're all under so much stress and that because of 2020, many people are on edge. What do you think about this? What is your expertise telling you or your instinct telling you?
Well, let me give you an idea of what's under consideration right now. I'm going to give you the NFL football analogy. At every major stadium in the United States, they stopped selling alcohol in the fourth quarter. And there's a reason for that. The same reason what we're talking about tonight. So now let's go back and take a look at the sequence of events that happens when you get to an airport. You can't get to a gate without a boarding pass. So what they're talking about now is if your boarding pass says that your flight leaves at 4 p.m., that if you go to any restaurant or retailer at the airport where they sell alcohol, they will stop selling you alcohol anytime after 3:15 p.m.
Wow.
Now, it hasn't been instituted yet, but it's under consideration because short of putting breathalyzers at jetways, how do you stop people from getting on the plane with alcohol? Right now, so many passengers are pre-gaming, if you will. They're sneaking alcohol onto the plane. I'm sure Andrew knows about this because I've been hearing in-flight announcements from the flight attendants saying no in-flight alcohol that you can bring on the plane is allowed, right? You already have Southwest Airlines stopping the alcohol service now, American not bringing it back until maybe September. So you have a situation here with short of putting those breathalyzers at the jetway, you can actually have an impact here where the retailers are not allowed to sell alcohol 45 minutes prior to what the boarding pass says. Now, I know what some people are thinking. What if your plane is delayed? That means nobody can have a drink at the airport? I'll give you the NFL analogy again. What happens if the game goes into overtime? They're still not going to sell the alcohol, and that's the difference that we have to apply here.
Well, it would be nice if we could apply some sporting rules because maybe there would be some fairness applied here. But Andrew, I haven't seen a lot of alcohol served, and Peter just mentioned a couple of airlines, but a lot of airlines have stopped serving alcohol completely. Is this something that's been considered, possibly going to be eliminated altogether, that we are going to see no alcohol on flights because of this kind of behavior?
Look, we're taking it one day at a time. Right now, this is the right thing to do. What we're saying is, look, if people behave on the flights, you'll get your alcohol back. We haven't seen that yet. And that's what we really are hoping for, right? And some people are saying, we've seen this in the air where some passengers say, hey, man, behave. I want to get my alcohol back. It is serving as a bit of a deterrent, and that's what is important here. But we really need to make sure folks need to remember to treat themselves like they would want to be treated in these situations. I mean, these flight attendants, the things that they put up with, it's just out of control. We've never seen anything like it, and they really are, our first line of defense in the sky. And I think people need to remember that.
The golden rule. Jennifer, I want to talk a little bit about the actual self-defense because of these, again, tiny cramped spaces on planes. But the moves, are they traditional? I mean, this is something that reminds me of what I did in college with my self-defense training.
What I'm seeing on those training videos, absolutely. I mean, these are basic self-defense moves where you're learning how to use parts of your body as weapons. And when you're in close quarters like that, you want to make sure that you're keeping everyone around you safe as well, but also you're doing the maximum amount of damage with the minimum amount of effort.
Mm-hmm. Poking people's eyes out is a frequent subject, and also kicking people between the legs, something that we've seen a lot, correct?
Eyes, throat, groin. Say it loud, say it proud. I always teach my students.
Say that again.
Go there first. Eyes, throat, groin.
The sensitive areas. Is the key to stun people, or is it to take aggressive passengers down?
Look, every situation is different, so it's so hard to just give black and white rules like that. You really have to be in touch with your intuition. That's the most important, right? The gift that we all have, our inner GPS that can read situations, that can read the people around you and scan for red flags and put like little bits of information together quicker than your logical brain can. And then it serves up this gift, this intuitive message, whether that's to duck, to move, to create space from this person, to call a flight attendant or get help or ask somebody next to you for help as well. So the flight attendants that I'm seeing are so brave, and I love watching them train in self-defense, but also as passengers, we need to be more alert. We need to be more aware as well of what's going on in our surroundings.
I'm almost thinking that passengers need to take these classes as well, because so many times they're being asked to kind of come in and help the flight attendants.
I am a firm believer that everyone can learn some self-defense, even just the basics. I've heard story after story how just one assertion, one hit, one something, one yell, using your voice in a powerful way can deter an attacker.
Well, I want to thank you, Jennifer, for being with us. I know you have someplace to be, and I know we're going to have another guest join us. So make sure to thank everybody who is taking your self-defense classes, because it's making everybody safer by doing that. Jennifer's online course, She Warrior Self-Defense. You want to check that out. And gentlemen, I know that you're going to be joining us when we come back. We're going to talk about how much it would cost passengers to try to fight for their right to go maskless on their next flight. And just when it looked like we might be getting rid of masks for good, of course, that number might be going up pretty soon instead. We'll be right back.
I will kill everybody on this plane. I will kill everybody on this plane. I will. I will.
Okay, that's just another example of what flight attendants have had to endure to protect the plane, the passengers, the crew of commercial airlines every day. We've seen these videos of people just utterly out of control on flight, sometimes getting physically violent, but otherwise just creating disruption on board. Back now with us is Peter Greenberg and Andrew Feldman. And joining us now, Mike Pangia, former chief trial lawyer for the FAA and head lawyer for aviation in the Justice Department. Gentlemen, this conversation could not go long enough, though we do have only a few minutes together. Mike, I do want to start with you and ask you about some of the passengers in these cases. The FAA has been handing out thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines just in 2021 alone, over $680,000 total. But the fines, are they having any kind of impact?
They don't seem to be having any impact. You know, it wasn't long ago when flying was an adventure. It was civilized. We wore suits aboard the airplane. The flight attendants were professionals, beautifully dressed. And now they have to be trained in martial arts. Where have we come to as a society? That's what troubles me about this thing. You know, flying is so different today. We stand in line for security, at least 30 minutes to an hour. You get aboard the airplane, the seat pitch is smaller. You think you've been growing. No, the seat pitch has gotten smaller. There's extra charges for bags, there's meal service and so forth. And then we have the stress of Corona on top of that. And then alcohol. Alcohol is a big problem. And I think one thing they could do is screen passengers before they get on the plane, because they've been drinking before they get on the plane. You could control them when they get on the plane about how much they drink, but you can't control them before. And I think that would be a necessary thing to do. A lot of our problems happen with too much alcohol, and that's because of the stress that we're in today in society. You know, I recently represented a flight attendant who was grabbed by a passenger as she was walking down the aisle. He just reached out and he patted her on the backside. I represented her. It cost that passenger $10,000. That's what he had to pay. That was an out-of-court settlement. And if it went to court, I would have made sure it was a lot more than that. But this is what we're seeing today, and I think it speaks a whole lot about where we're going as a society. And we're under a great deal of stress, and we're seeing it peak in these airplanes, and we have to do something about it because it is dangerous.
Well, Andrew Feldman is with us, too, with the Association of Flight Attendants. And, Andrew, we talk a lot, and we talked about in our last segment about how much stress people are under. Mike is making the points that you and Peter would definitely agree with. But what about flight attendants? They, too, are under the same stresses, the same pressures, the same family dynamics, the same economic stresses. And they are expected to conduct themselves as professionals and to have a great attitude and to smile as they put our glass of water on our tray. What kind of stress are they under right now?
A tremendous amount of stress, Adrian. We've never seen this type of unruliness in our skies. If it continues at this rate, this year will be 60 times what we see in an average year. But look, these flight attendants, I work with them every day. They're amazing people, and they get up and they love their jobs. They love to travel. They love to greet the passengers. They love to help them get from one destination to another safely. So look, they're trained in this, and it's very important for everyone watching to know that our flight attendants in the air are prepared for this. Now, do they want to get to this? This is the last resort, but they are absolutely prepared to make sure that aircraft gets on the ground safely. And look, it's a lot of stress. Absolutely. Families are worried for their sons and daughters and mom and dad going off to work. But, this is what the job they're committed to doing. And they are so excited to seeing people back up in the air, because let me tell you, there was a really few scary months there in the heart of the pandemic. And if it wasn't for the payroll support program that we got passed through Congress, a lot of those flight attendants would be in a lot worse shape than we are right now. And that's what we fought for.
Well, it's nice. I actually thank them when I fly now, because I was there when we had very few people on flights and we knew that so many were laid off. So it's great to see them back at work. But Peter, I have compassion for the flight attendants. I even have some compassion for the folks that, seem to be disturbed. But there isn't a lot of public sympathy. What are you hearing in the industry in terms of how much mental illness plays as a part of this and what we're seeing, this phenomenon?
Well, short of having therapists on the plane, that's not going to work either. There's a revenue component here. Let's talk about the one that's the elephant in the room. At least half of the incidents that you saw that we screened tonight on the air, it involved planes being diverted to places they weren't supposed to go. And anytime you divert a plane to an unscheduled landing, especially in a situation where they're landing at an airport they're not even based, the cost to the airline is in the high five figures. Not to mention, it takes the plane out of sequence, it takes the flight attendants out of schedule, and nobody makes their connecting flights. So the cost involved here is huge. We have the DOJ now being asked by the flight attendants to impose criminal penalties, not just financial penalties, on the abusers here. And that's in a situation where, I'll give you another example. And I think Mr. Feldman would agree with me. If I'm sitting on the plane and the flight attendant says, please fasten your seatbelt, simple as question as that, and I don't do it, I'm in violation of a federal law because I've disobeyed the order of a flight attendant, of a flight crew member. And when that plane lands, I'm not just met at the airport by a skycap, I'm met by federal marshals. So if the DOJ acts on this and imposes the potential of criminal penalties, and you see people getting arrested and not just being fined, that may have another import here.
And Mike, I do have to bring it up with you because this is, again, a federal issue, as Peter was saying. Could the reverse happen where obviously we see the need for some type of protection on board? But I know that, Mike, for sure, some people might question, how far can flight attendants go in protecting themselves and others? Will we have a conversation about passengers possibly suing the flight attendants because they were hurt while they were on the plane?
Well, that could always, you can't stop people from suing, but putting this kind of a stress on flight attendants is just too much. To have flight attendants trained to the point where they have to use martial arts and self-defense, and to say that's going to solve the issue on the airplane and stop the violence on the airplane, it's more than just training the flight attendants to do that. And I think it would be a very, very unfair thing to put that kind of a stress on flight attendants.
Well, this is going to be a conversation that we continue to have. Gentlemen, I have appreciated this so much. I know we will continue to talk about it, and I really do hope that we come up with some solutions because all of us want to be safe when we fly, and we're so grateful to be flying again after this long year. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, Adrienne.
Still to come, do you base your decisions on science or religion? A veteran of The Daily Show has a new show that investigates just that. Which is the right answer? It's coming up. Welcome back to Banfield. Now, many of you probably discovered our next guest during his hilarious run on The Daily Show. He was alongside Jon Stewart, and of course, you loved his jokes, but he has also been in a couple of TV and film appearances. I say a couple because he's had a very long and accomplished career, and he was also listening to our last segment about unruly passengers. So I want to talk to him about all kinds of things, including travel. Please join us in welcoming Aasif Mandvi. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've got, we're going to be talking about Evil. We're going to be talking about all your shows. But first, I do have to ask you, have you been traveling a lot? Because we just did this amazing segment about unruly passengers. And I don't know how much you've been on planes lately, but I'm sure that you have a different perspective.
I have not been on planes lately, mostly because of, none of us have been traveling that much. But I think that I watched that segment that you did, and it was quite illuminating. I didn't realize that there was that much animosity and aggressiveness happening on planes right now. Sometimes I wonder if a lot of this is, the airline industry has. I think one of your guests was talking about the stresses that have been put on passengers, and I wonder if a lot of this. Sometimes the flight attendants are the first line of defense and attack in terms of when you're upset with the airline and you're upset with Delta or American or United, it's the flight attendants that get the brunt of all of that anxiety and stress and the stuff that you've been dealing with in the terminal and whatever. You know what I mean? I wonder, airline travel has become so stressful in this day and age that I find that I'm incredibly stressed out by the time I get onto the plane, just from the experience of going through the
TSA,
stuff and the TSA and
getting
all
on
that
customer
stuff.
service.
Yeah, and so it does end up. It's an unfortunate thing, and it really. I mean, obviously, it's untenable. Like, you can't have people breaking into fistfights on airplanes. So we have to do something about it. But I wonder if it's also just the reality of these huge sort of corporate faceless entities that passengers feel like they feel disempowered against. And so it's the poor flight attendants that get the brunt of of what they're really angry at is Delta.
See, I knew that you were going to give a different perspective, and I love it because it really is like the bigger picture, because there's been this domino effect over the past year when it comes to travel, when it comes to seeing rush hour traffic again after seeing the roads empty, when it comes to the fact that some of our favorite stores and restaurants have a shortage of supplies because of storms or because of COVID or because of whatever, and we're all under this different kind of pressure. How has the year been for you? I heard you had a baby during the pandemic.
What? What? No, yes, I did.
I'm like, that better not be a misquote.
What did you hear that? Good God. No, I did. I had a baby, and he's, we've been, 2020 for us was a little bit of a bubble. We were kind of it was for everyone, but we would have been in that bubble anyway because we had this brand new baby. And so, but it was kind of crazy because I feel like, my son, who is now 15 months old, lives in a world where people are wearing masks, and he doesn't really get to, there's a lovely picture of my wife it's like the world that he grows up in. I often wonder, like, this very formative time that he's in, and except for me and my wife and maybe a few other people, like, everyone wears a mask around him. And so I wonder if that's just going to become his normality. Like, he's actually going to be stressed out when he sees people's mouths.
I've thought about that myself. Every time I saw kids in New York City when I lived there, because I just moved to Chicago a couple of months ago, I made sure to make extreme eye contact with them with friendly eyes, because I thought that my eyes are going to be the only thing they might see outside of their parents' faces.
Yeah. And it's very, it's hard, children are supposed to be raised in community, like human babies are supposed to be raised in, and what the pandemic did was we didn't see anyone. So we were kind of isolated, and it was a very isolating experience. And yet at the same time, incredibly bonding. So, there was a kind of a pro and a con to it, but it was, we'll see. I hope he doesn't grow up and just sort of want to cover up everyone's face.
No.
Feel comfortable.
I think eventually he's going to just be so hungry and be like, oh my gosh, like, look at these beautiful people.
Or he'll just be longing. Anytime anybody will look at him without a mask, they're like, you must love me. Like,
I think that's how we're all feeling right now, especially those in entertainment. I think about your industry often, and I think about the folks who are used to performing, used to being in front of live audiences, and then that completely being stripped away. We're celebrating, 25 years ago this week, The Daily Show premiered. You were a very popular correspondent on the show. And I would have to say, do you still talk to people in your industry and those veterans of the show about how they've been feeling over the past year?
Well, I think that everyone's been sort of feeling the same way. I mean, I came up in live theater. That's where I sort of came up as an actor, and I did stand up, and it's bizarre to not have even that right now, like the idea of getting up in front of an audience and performing. And, unfortunately, the reality of what we're dealing with now is that because back in 2020, there was such a poor federal response to this pandemic that what ended up happening, and what we're still dealing with today, is that everyone's sort of trying to have to figure it out on their own. Like, what are their own, there's no sort of criteria of, like, we hear one thing, then we hear something else, and it seems to me like we're all having to make up our own level of risk and where we are comfortable. And different people have different levels of risk. We have a baby, so we're still operating from the place of, like, he's not vaccinated, can't wear a mask, and so we have to still be safer. Other people are going out to clubs and back to life as normal, and they're vaccinated. And then you hear about people who are vaccinated, but they're still getting COVID, or the vaccine isn't as effective. And we're getting so much different information from different sources that it's sometimes that's a stressor in itself, because we have to figure out for our own selves and our own families what is okay. There seems to be nothing cohesive holding this together in terms of what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on it perfectly. And I think you're speaking to the heartbeat of so many families, not just in America, but around the world, with so much uncertainty. And at the same time, we're figuring it out together and separately at the same time. But
and for everyone, it's a different criteria. You know, I say to my wife all the time, it's like everyone's just managing their own level of risk. And that's kind of where we are right now. And it's unfortunate because it would be, you know, from the politicians to science to the medical professionals, like if there was a more cohesive sort of strategy of like what we are supposed to do and what we actually, and part of it is because we just don't know, and it's changing and it's evolving day to day, you know? I mean, they tell you, you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated inside, but you know, then you start to go, well, who's vaccinated and who's not in Walmart? I don't know. You know, am I going to take that risk and just assume that everyone's vaccinated? So it's a tough situation that we're all in right now. We're in it together, but it is a tough moment for us.
No easy answers. No. But we do have entertainment, and we're very grateful for that. And when we come back,
no easy answers.
Speaking of which, when we come back, we're going to be talking about your very popular show, Evil, and that line between faith and science, and maybe some answers, and the lines that seem to divide every issue in America. We'll be right back. We're back with Asif Manvi. His hit show Evil, streaming right now on Paramount Plus. A third season has just been announced, so congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
You know, what do you think resonates so much with the audiences right now? Because this show is all about whether you believe science or faith, religion is the guiding principle or the truth here. With whatever topic is on the show, is that really what you think hits at home for the viewers?
Well, I think I think there is a investigative aspect to it, which is fascinating. And I think also what's great about our show is that there's never any easy answers. You know, we don't wrap up cases in a kind of like, well, that's this week's case. It kind of, there's more questions raised often than answers, and you never know, like that question of, is it science, is it faith, never really gets answered, or if it does, it often opens another door into another question. And so that constant kind of labyrinth that you end up inside, I think is intriguing for audiences and sort of sucks them in to the storytelling. And also just the relationship of these three characters that are at the center of the show. You know, Mike Coulter plays a priest who is a real true believer. Katja Herbers plays a psychologist who is trained in psychopathy and the idea of, like, you know, is it something psychopathic? And my character, Ben Shakir, is a technician and a carpenter and sort of a guy who is incredibly practical and a true empiricist who will find the practical reason for why you maybe think you have a ghost in your house. So those three characters also,
so interesting.
You know, their way of operating with each other, and also the points of views that they offer into each case is I think interesting to the audience.
And I think the fact that they all work together and get along, which is something that maybe we could all learn from. I mean, who would have thought we would have learned something from Evil? That we could apply to all society.
I mean, you know, yeah, it's true. It is. We do all get along for the most part. You know, obviously it's television, so we have to create conflict. But yeah, it is. It's kind of this interesting team that has been amassed and put together, that we all come at it from our own specific point of view into this area. So and there's never any easy answers. I think the key to the show is it never really sort of wraps things up. It just creates more questions, and questions that we are asking ourselves as well, you know? And so we never really know, sometimes, is it something paranormal, or is it something that can be explained? And often those questions just keep sort of building on themselves, you know?
Well, curiosity is never a bad thing, and I think it's something that probably led you in your career. I know you also have another popular show, This Way Up, on Hulu. It's based in London. We're totally out of time, but could you give us a one-liner as to why you found this show or how that show found you?
It was Aisling Bey who wrote the show and stars in it with Sharon Horgan, and it's just funny and heartbreaking. And if you love Britcoms, you know, you're gonna love this show. It is just a beautiful show about family and siblings and mental health, and wonderful. It's funny. And I just wanted to do it. So
well,
I'm glad they have
you're not just funny, you're very pleasant. And I just was so thankful that we had a chance to chat and get to know you a little bit better. Asif Mandvi, thank you for being with us.
Very pleasant yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our best, that's a good compliment for anybody, right? Our best to Asif Mandvi and his family. And thank you so much for everybody being a part of this particular segment. Evil, now streaming on Paramount+. This Way Up is on Hulu. Still to come, we have more for you. The stars of Shark Tank asked the tough questions, but one of those sharks grilled himself during a criminal court case. The details when we return. He's Mr. Wonderful. Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, usually the one who is dishing out tough questions. But yesterday, he was the one being grilled in a court of law. His wife facing a criminal case due to a fatal boat crash. And we have a terrific panel of experts to cover all aspects of the trial this evening for us. Attorney Alex Kazarian, media expert Mike Levine, and entertainment reporter Will Marfuji. Welcome to all of you. Will, I want you to set it up for us. So what do we know about the case and the trial? I think, first of all, people are shocked. It's a very sad story, but break it down for us.
So ultimately, 2 people lost their lives in a boating accident. Now, this goes all the way back to August 24th of 2019. Kevin and his wife, Linda, were at a dinner party at a lake, and coming home from that party at about 11:30, they ran their boat into another boat. One person passed away, and a few days later, another person passed away. So eventually, this went to court. There were paramedics, police, everybody came to the O'Leary household to, do the reports and do their due diligence. Excuse me. So now that we're in court, Kevin O'Leary took the stand today, or yesterday rather, to say that his wife may have had a drink. She may have been. But he wasn't with her all day. She takes her responsibility as designated driver very carefully. And if she did have a drink, she probably would have watered it down. Now, that was his story. Earlier in the case, a police officer testified that Linda did blow what they call an alert on a breathalyzer after the accident. Linda says that she had a drink after the accident. So that's the bare bones of the case. Kevin claims that they ran their boat into this other passenger boat because they were doing what's called stargazing. They had turned the lights off on their boat to check out the skyline, the stars. And he said that it was like you would have had to try to make the boat as dark as it was. So ultimately, that's what the defense is hinging their case on, and the prosecution is hinging it on Linda possibly being impaired and driving the boat unsafely.
Yeah, and Mike, and thank you, Will, for breaking that down. Mike, I have to ask you about Kevin's celebrity in regards to this case. He was not piloting the boat. His wife was, and that's why we're talking so much about whether she had a drink or she didn't have a drink. But does his celebrity hurt or help this case?
Well, celebrity as a general rule is a positive thing, but telling things that work in the court of legal opinion sometimes don't work very well in the court of public opinion, like taking the Fifth Amendment. So saying I don't recall may be a very good and positive thing legally, but in the court of public opinion, it may not look as transparent, authentic, or vulnerable as someone in his position could or should.
Right. I mean, considering that he is a very savvy businessman, it's like, how could you forget
Correct.
or not know that your wife was drinking or not? Though they had a very long day and evening enjoying the boat and the lake and stargazing and turning off the lights on the boat is something that we've been told, or it's been reported, is very common. But Alexandra,
that's true.
You know, is it problematic from a legal standpoint that she couldn't remember or didn't know whether she was drinking or not, or that, you know, Kevin didn't know?
I think it would be more problematic for her to say that I couldn't remember if I was drinking or not. I mean, I think he's being honest when he says there were times that he wasn't with her at the party. There was about an hour where they were in separate areas. So he doesn't know. He may not recall if he saw her with a wine glass in her hand. I think in general, he came off, I think, pretty honest. And it is hard for somebody to remember every single detail of a party that someone else was at. I mean, how do you know if someone else was drinking if you weren't with them for every minute of the affair that the two of you were at? So I get why I don't recall isn't a good look a lot of the times. But really, when you're on the stand under oath, sometimes it really is the most honest answer that you can give. I just don't know. I just don't remember. I just don't recall.
Yeah.
And there are pros and cons of saying, yes, I did, or no, I didn't, especially if you're not absolutely sure. Because sure, if he says, I think she might have had a drink, you know, he could be looking like he's being honest and he's not hiding anything. But if she didn't, then he's hammering that nail in her coffin without even actually knowing the truth.
Yeah.
So I think as far as the criminal case is concerned, I think he's doing the right thing. I think he's being honest. And whether it looks good or looks bad is for the judge to decide in this case, because there's no jury here. So, you know, the credibility is going to be the issue, but ultimately it comes down to her credibility because she's the one who said she wasn't drinking before. She had a drink afterwards. And I think her not remembering the exact chain of events might be a little more problematic.
Now, Mike, I do have to ask you what the public relations ramifications of this could be. We've been told that there's only a $10,000 fine in this case. 2 people died. They may go to a civil case, but could this affect Mr. Wonderful's brand?
Well, it certainly will have some pockmark or tarnish for a period of time. After all, we're talking about it here tonight. And this is not something that most celebrities would like to discuss publicly after years of being in the public eye. So, but whether it has permanent damage prophecy is dubious business there, because it seems that America is a pretty forgiving nation over time. And increasingly, as the media metabolism rate is sped up so much, nothing seems to stick too terribly long.
Well, thank you for giving us some optimism for Mr. Wonderful and this very, very sad story. Will, Alex, Mike, thank you for being with us, and thank you to the audience. We'll be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. on Banfield. Join us again.